Okay. Normally I have rants or some various other thoughts going through my mind, but lately because I felt so lost in my psychic path or my Wiccan path, I turned around and started doing my cards again, and I started feeling good about this, and I finally went out and bought some incense, and when I did this, I sat down in the living room and I put my feet up on their lazy boy and I just started meditating. Well, because it was one of those days where I don't have kids that's on my hip and they're at school and everything, I decided to take a marker from the kids' drawing cabinet and one of their pads of paper. Now, when I did this, I started channeling. Now, for all those who don't know what channeling or sorry, or how to do channeling, it's basically where you center yourself, you imagine yourself surrounded by white light, and you clear your mind. You meditate. You meditate for a few minutes, and then you close your eyes. It's very easy to do, and if you hear a voice that's not of your own, that is internal, then it is obviously that you are possibly with spirit, or it is that it's your inner psyche trying to tell you things that you're not paying attention to. So, being that, I turned around and I got myself a pen and the pad and everything together, as I said, the little skinny Crayola markers. Because they're the easiest for, I believe it or not, for a spirit to write with. Because they are so easy to glide on a paper that most people don't think of this. So, um, recently I was asking questions and whatnot, and a few of us are willing to see or waiting to see how long this is going to pan out. But I was asking questions about my career and whatnot, and it says I'm going to meet a gentleman that's going to be working in the field with music, that works on stage with bands and everything like that, and that I'm going to be after graduation going to the UK and various other places over in Europe to do work for concert series. Now, here's the thing is that, they have awesome music out there. They have more bands willing to work with you out there than they are in Ontario, Canada, or whatever. Because unlike out there, here you have to go through the representation and through other things. And it's a huge rigmarole and a huge fight and a huge legal battle. I was doing a lot of reading up on it, and the only response I ever got from an artist that was here in the United States and Canada was Lady Gaga. And she basically was honest, saying, look, she doesn't mind having her picture taken. It's just in certain situations she does. Like, it gets to the point where it's like they're invading her life. I don't mind, that she's actually honest about this. Like, I was reading up on her stuff, which is true. But back to the whole channeling thing. Um, it's been a while since I've actually channeled. So, doing some research of our house and whatnot recently, of previous owners and everything, I got the information from the Hamilton Public Library here in Ontario, Canada, and apparently back in the 1920s, the house owner was named Walter, and then it switched hands to another gentleman who had it before us, which is okay because, back in the 50s and whatnot, stuff like happens. 40s, 50s, stuff happens. But the gentleman apparently who owned the house, one of them, was murdered in the house. And unfortunately, when we bought the house back when I was 18, they did not tell us the legalities that they were supposed to tell us. Well, for the longest time, I've wondered about my house and the history of it. Just to give you an idea of what my house is like, it was built in 1920, 1921, approximately. Um, it is also near Gage Park in Hamilton, Ontario. Now, if you're not familiar with the War of 1812, where the British and the Americans fought, Gage Park in this area that I live in, from all the way down to Stony Creek, Battlefield Stony Creek, was engulfed in the War of 1812. Also, it is very known within this area by the natives to have what they consider to be earth spirits, which, if you're Gaelic or whatever, you consider to be fairies. So, in this channeling session, I asked, "Who is in my house?" And I got the name Walter. And Walter, I asked him, "Are you a good ghost or a bad ghost?" He told me he was good. And then I asked him, "How did you die?" Now, you have to be very sensitive when you ask this. You say, "Look, I don't mean to offend you. How did you die?" The writing on my paper came up like cursive, but it was all in one big line: stabbed in the neck. Freaky deaky. Then I asked him, "Are there such things as fairies?" And he wrote yes. And I was looking up this going, okay, this is weird. He was also giving me dates and everything, and along with family members coming through. So, believe me, there's some things that I have seen in my house. This now explains it. That if you're Wiccan, you do believe in a Hearn, and apparently he does like to visit. And I couldn't believe that the horn one was at least 6 foot something. I didn't think he was going to be that tall. Apparently, there's that. I just recently apparently got rid of another word on the paper was Bogart after I cleansed the house. Now, there's a little belief against fairies and brownies and whatnot, where your house has to be 100% clean. Not necessarily. They like to feed off negative energy. So basically, when you're cleaning your house, first thing you always have to do is cleanse the air. Cleanse the air to push the suckers out, clean it out, and then cleanse it to seal it. That's the best thing I can ever suggest. Because the good spirits that are in your house feel mellow then. They feel happy. Now, you're all going, "Oh, you're crazy." Yeah, whatever. Fine. No problem. But there's a lot of things that I've come to believe in. I guess it's because of my background with my grandfather coming off the boat from Scotland and my grandparents and their families coming right off the boat. We were raised with all these superstitions, and because of it, I find that more so it's coming true. Especially when you live in an area that is known to have dead soldiers and whatnot. Like, I'm having the problem with my son Jason, who's turning 6, and he's afraid to sleep in his own bed some nights. So, of course, I put the nightlight on and do whatever. But nights that he comes to sleep in my bed, he's a little afraid because near my altar piece, where I keep my altar stuff, and I haven't practiced around there in a while, um, he says he sees a gentleman with black boots with gold trim, buckles, white pants, and a red waistcoat with a red vest and a black hat and a bayonet. So that could tell me something about the land here. So I'm kind of interested to see how this pans out. And apparently, we are also looking into King George School in Hamilton. Now, the thing is that I like to get a hold of CHAPS because it is an old World War I hospital. So maybe I should make a video next to them and say, "Hey, can we talk? How do we go about getting this looked at?" Anyhow, guys, I'll talk to you later. I'm going to get a hold of TAPS or whatever because this is getting retarded with the school thing. Um, I think the whole fact of the kindergarten room downstairs is right across from an old morgue. And the old reports that we see in the house, main housing on the main floor, is of an old nurse in a blue and white uniform from the 1930s. But you could tell she's a British nurse. And there's a soldier that's left there. But the thing is that we don't know about him yet because I don't know from what the kids are telling me if the soldiers of the British or the American wore berets of different colors or different kinds of tams because the one they said is a dark brown that he wears, and the other days he says for dressy dress it's like a reddish color. So maybe we can look into this. But if anybody has any information on World War I history or whatnot, let me know. Take care, guys. Bye.